I can't root against Conor, even if I think he has been acting badly. But if he fights Dustin Poirier, I definitely can't root against Dustin Poirier. So I don't know what I'm going to do. And if he fights Chandler, it's the same thing. All right, so big news today on the UFC combat sports front. Huge, actually. Probably the biggest news that we've had in a very long time because it combines two massive stories. One, the antitrust lawsuit has been settled. We're going to talk about the details of that and how that affects everything going forward. I'm going to show you something very notable in this video, right? This video over here that shows Shab and Rogan and these guys talking about the lawsuit from about a month ago. Or maybe 2 months ago, I don't know. But it's from actually January 20th, so 2 months ago. And Shab is talking about what he had heard from the people who are in the lawsuit and what their goals are, what they want to accomplish with the lawsuit, and how the settlement definitely 100% accomplished none of those things at all. All they're getting is money. You know, it's like, I mean, look, am I surprised? Of course not. I understand humans. But so the lawsuit settled, which is absolutely enormous. And this is a win for everybody, I would say, honestly, except for anybody who cares about, anybody who had dreams of this changing the entire contract structure legality in, mixed martial arts, which I have no opinion on whatsoever because I don't pretend to know about things that I don't know about. But the other thing is that Conor McGregor claimed that he's booked in the summer. And I heard that last night, and I will literally, if I don't know, depends on how motivated I am to show you guys my text messages, but I will, you know what? I will show you. My exact comment was, yeah, right, wake me up when UFC announces it. Actually, I don't need to show you. Trust me, that's exactly what I said. Oh, okay. Wake me, I told you guys, when it was New Year's Eve and Conor did that whole thing where he was like, I will tell you exactly when my next fight. You know what's interesting, though, is it is when he said that he's fighting International Fight Week. I don't know if they're doing it at 85 or whatever, but when Conor said, we're going to do an International Fight Week, and then it did not get confirmed or whatever, and then it was kind of like, I have no idea, I have no date. I was like, I don't believe anything that I hear anymore until the UFC announces it. But now we have confirmation almost certainly that is true, that what Conor's saying from yesterday is true, that he is going to fight this summer. I'm going to tell you exactly why. So that is what we're doing in this video. And then for fun, I'm going to show you two interviews that Conor did this week. And we're going to compare them so that you can see why people are like, oh, look, he looks gacked out. Like if you have no experience of, being like, all right, I mean, he looks great, but he looks like maybe he's on drugs, I'm going to show you two interviews and tell me if you could tell the difference between the two, right? It's like, does this seem like the same person, or does one of them seem like they have some kind of battery injected in their back and they're all, you know what I mean? So we're just doing that for fun. But yeah, like I said, this is a huge day in mixed martial arts because of both of those things. So we're going to get into that. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And also go check out the sponsor of this video, Happy Hippo. Happy Hippo has all the bomb kratom products. And listen, you see this energy shot right there? I just drank one of those right before I went to my jiu-jitsu school where I got my ass kicked by world champions who were doing a thing for flow grappling at ADCC, and I went in as cannon fodder, but it was much less torturous because I did one of these shots right before I started training, and it was awesome. Go check out their products. You're going to love it. Use Jesse on Fire, and at checkout, that will help you a lot. But Happy Hippo, they are the bomb. Go check out their stuff. I use the shot. Literally, I drink one of these shots every single day. So check them out. All right, so let's start here. This is the story about the UFC settlement. Never mind, I forgot. I got to look at this first. So let's look at a couple minutes of this interaction between Rogan and Shab and Eddie Bravo, etc., so that we get an idea of what the fighters were saying to people about the lawsuit. Like, this is why we're doing this. And then we can talk about whether or not they actually did that.
Hits. What is that lawsuit legit? Like, what's going on with that?
Oh, bro, is it legit?
Is it legit?
Yeah, and I think it's.
I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. I try to stay out of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. But after UFC 300,
Smart as an employee of the company, as a UFC employee, it's like, I don't want to know because I don't want to talk about it.
that following Monday is when it comes to trial.
And what is the trial? What are they? It's a class action lawsuit.
Yeah, class action lawsuit, and you got like 60 fighters on that.
There is absolutely no way that Rogan did not know this. And also you had 12. Shab has a lot, everything else right, but 60, no. 1,200, you're off by a factor of, what is that, 200? Like, I think what 60 times 200 was 1,200. Is that right? Jesus, I'm retarded. I'm all, Shab, you're an idiot. And it's like, no, Jesse, you're a fucking idiot.
God, I'm so glad I'm not a promoter. First of all, I'd be terrible at it because I'd want to give the fighters too much money. I'd be like, you guys deserve it. Listen, let's just figure out a way to work this out. You can't do that if you're running a business. If you run a business, you got to be ruthless.
Wow. I am a complete fucking idiot. It was a factor of 20, not 200. Jesse on fire. You should probably edit that out. No, I won't do it. Okay? I want everyone to know how fucking stupid I am, dude. Jesus. How old are you? Don't worry about it, dude. That was literally 3rd grade fucking math. That is mortifying, dude. I am so dumb. Fuck my life.
Thing is, in most cases, UFC can settle, right, and be like, here's $1 billion, get the fuck out of our face. But these fighters are trying to change the game, so they can't settle with them because they want to make a difference in the sport to make it equal pay.
They want some money. So.
Yeah.
Well, no, they want money because they deserve it, but they're not.
$10 million. Just
no, they've already tried that.
They did.
These boys, they're playing for reals. I'm telling you, this is the first time.
Who's the
How many
top guys?
fighters?
Kung Lee.
Oh, really?
And
So, just out of the gate, okay? That is for sure exactly what they were telling everybody. I heard this not just from Shab, but from other people who had talked to. I've never spoken to anybody directly who was involved in the lawsuit. But this is exactly what I've heard. They want to change the game, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so here's what you need to understand. They didn't do any of that, right? They took money, like Rogan said. They want money, they got money, right? And here's the other part. So when you factor in, and again, credit where credit's due, I got this from Luke Thomas, the lawyers are taking 30%. So in any of these cases, right? Like in any of these cases, you have to consider the following, okay? Who is the person or people who is who's giving the clients advice on whether or not to take a settlement or whether to move forward or whatever, right? Like who does that? The lawyers, right? The lawyers. The lawyers come and they go, look, this is what we're looking at. This is what the settlement offer is. You know, if we don't take it, here's what we're looking at. Now, what's 30% of $335 million? Can you do that math? Because I could tell you it is over $100 million, okay? So if I am an attorney and my payout is going to be $100+ million if they take the settlement, I'm going to go into that meeting and I'm going to be like, listen, man, we could either take it, or if we don't take it, the likelihood that we get zero is high. Somebody's probably going to kidnap your sister, have sex with her on camera. They're going to put it on OnlyFans. Your wife's next. Your kids are after that. Everything's going to fucking fall apart. If you don't take the settlement, we're dead. We are all going to die. They're like, wait, go over that one more time. They're like, I got to get someone on the phone to tell you guys what's going on. Is this Joshua Fabia? He's like, yeah, they're going to have you killed. I'm just kidding. That is actually in my video coming. He told Diego, okay, Fabia told Diego that he is part of an assassins league like John Wick, and all these assassins were coming to him to let him know that Dana White was trying to hire them to kill him and Diego. So that happened. Hey, do you guys think that Fabia is like a little miniature John Wick, or do you think he maybe was making that up and he made a bunch of fake profiles and DM'd himself? I'm just saying, I have all the messages. It's going to be hilarious. Don't miss it on Friday. But yeah. Okay. So obviously the attorneys are going to go in there and be all, you got to take this settlement. And so, I mean, listen, this is what I would do. 1,000%. I'd be like, 100 million, dog. And be like, and we're done now. Like we just lock in this 100 right now. It's like, or we could roll the dice and maybe get nothing. I'm cool. I'll take that 9 figures. You know what I mean? Let's continue.
How many fighters are involved in the
saying?
class action lawsuit?
They didn't get paid enough?
There's a ton. Yeah,
What
just
are
it's
they
a
saying?
monopoly. Like they couldn't go anywhere else. There's sub.
Oh, wait. He just said there's a ton. So maybe I misunderstood him when he said 60. I don't know why.
Contracted what they do with the Reebok deal.
Well, hold on a second. Didn't Kung Lee come from Strikeforce? He literally came from somewhere else.
Yeah, he came from Strikeforce.
Well,
But then he came to the UFC.
Yeah, but there was
just
also
signed a contract.
Bellator existed at the same time.
But he didn't.
Oh, it sounds like Rogan knows a little bit more about this case that he's leading on. You know, like Rogan's also, I don't know anything about this case. He's like, I haven't been paying attention, like at all. I don't know anything. And all they said was it's a class action lawsuit, and they're all these guys. And then somehow Rogan is putting in arguments that are directly in support of the UFC's position, which I understand. I would do the exact same thing. I'd be like, I don't know nothing about this. And I agree with Rogan. The entire basis of the lawsuit, and now that it's over, right? Now that it's over, there's no reason for anybody to say anything that they don't believe. But like Rogan's, the whole point was, they bought up all the competition and there was nowhere else to fight. It's like, I mean, Kung Lee literally was at Strikeforce and Bellator was still there, whatever. It's, anywho. But yeah, it sounds like Rogan maybe knew a little bit more than he was leading
Fight
on.
for Bellator.
Right, but he could have.
Yeah, but he fought for Strikeforce, and Strikeforce was bought by the UFC.
Right. But
So
what is
his
the
deals with
argument that they're definitely the best at it? But the monopoly argument, the problem is that you can make that with the NBA, you can make that with the NFL, you can make that with Major League Baseball. If you're playing for an additional football league outside of the NFL,
It's frowned upon.
it's just like I've said this before on the podcast, and some fighters got mad at me.
What?
Listen, I understand if you go to Bellator if they pay you more money, and I support you doing that. What I'm saying is, if you want to be the best in the world, you want to be the most famous motherfucker, the king of the king, at 155 pounds, 170 pounds, 185, 205, you have to fight in the UFC. You can make it if you're a prize fighter, but if you're a fighter and maybe you're one of those guys that fought in the UFC and then you go over to PFL and you make $1 million for the tournament, awesome. What does it say? I agree. You're 100% correct, and I love it.
Hey, let me pause that right there and just let you guys know that while he was talking, I went and looked this up. And for UFC 139, okay, this is 2011, UFC 139, Kung Lee, the head of this lawsuit, the number one guy, the guy who led the whole thing, okay, was the highest paid guy on the card. He lost. Okay, Vanderlei Silva beat him, and Kung Lee made $350,000 for that fight. Okay, he was the highest paid guy on the card, $350,000, and he led the lawsuit. That's what I'm saying is like, again, now that it's over, I am glad that the fighters got paid. I'm always happy that fighters get paid, but get the fuck out of here, dude. You know what I mean? Anywho, there was no one else. Who the fuck else was gonna pay Kung Lee way more than $350,000 to fight? Like, come on, dude. Anyway, that's probably enough of this with the fighters, and then we're going to get into what it means for everybody going forward. And speaking of fighters getting protected or not protected, do not miss the second Fabia video that I'm going to drop on Friday. I cannot stress this enough. This kid is a way bigger con artist than you had any, like Fabia, everybody keeps like doing videos on it, hitting me up, and I'm like, you have no idea how crazy this guy actually is and the levels of evil this dude is capable of, but you will on Friday. I'm literally finishing this thing up today and tomorrow. It's going to drop on Friday. Do not miss it. All right. So the UFC agrees to pay out $335 million. And this is the key point. This settlement covers both lawsuits. Okay. So there was a lawsuit that was the main one that led up to, I believe, 2018, I don't know. Don't break my balls. But there was one that led up to a certain point, and then there was a second one coming right behind it that was going to lead up to now. This covers both of them. So I'm going to read this to you, and you guys, I will kind of define what this is actually saying, all right? So on Wednesday, TKO Group Holding, the parent company of the UFC, filed a disclosure with the SEC revealing the organization had settled with the agreed parties in two separate lawsuits, with the company agreeing to pay out $335 million. Now, there are 1,200 claimants, which breaks out to, I actually, credit where credit's due, I actually watched Luke Thomas's video on this, and I believe he broke it out to, I could do the math on my computer right now. I'm sorry, on my phone, but I think he said it was about $280,000 per person. That's real money, dude. That is obviously real money. $335 million divided by 1,200 is $280 million, right? $279 million. But the attorneys are going to keep 30%. And so, I mean, listen, dude, if you're a retired fighter, especially guys, you've been out of the game for a few years, and someone's like, because also, this is the other thing that a lot of people may not realize. You don't pay taxes on lawsuit settlements, okay? This benefited me immensely in one point. I had a $50,000 settlement due to a thing in my house that broke, and we had carbon monoxide poisoning in our house. You know, it was one of those things that happened. It was super bizarre, and I would imagine a lot of people probably would just be like, wow, that's super dangerous. And I was like, yeah, that's super dangerous. Like, someone's paying me, dude. My entire family could have died. You know what I mean? And so insurance, I haggled with the insurance company. I actually almost got an attorney, and my attorney told me maximum I could probably get was $20,000. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense for me to hire someone. I'll just negotiate it myself. And I got 50. So that was not a bad day. I mean, listen, in fairness, my dad advised me on how to negotiate. My dad was the medical legal director for a very large company. That's all he did all day for his entire career was negotiate settlements. So he gave me some tips. It worked. I got $50K and it was tax-free. So that was an awesome day. That was in 2018. I needed the money back then too. I mean, not that you always need the money, but like I really needed the money back then. So it was very helpful, and you don't pay taxes on that. So these guys, if they get, call it 220K, they're going to keep 220K. So that is very clutch for them. Congratulations to those guys. But here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. There are and also the company anticipates the settlement amount will be deductible for tax purposes, which means it's going to come out of gross money, okay? It's coming out of gross money, and that's very important for people who are investing in the stock and all that, because it means that it's not coming out of their net money. They could pay it, I don't know if you guys understand the difference between gross and net, but basically like, so when people are quoting how much money the UFC brings in every year, right? Like, I don't know, I'm not going to look it up right now, but let's say they bring in like 1.2 billion in revenue a year, right? So people are like, they make $1.2 billion in revenue a year. And you're like, all right. And how much do they spend? Because how much you bring in is irrelevant. Like basically, okay, so let's say you have a smaller business and let's say you're selling t-shirts, and between the inventory, the shipping, the marketing and all that, you're spending $250,000 a year. And then you bring in $245,000 a year. Like you tell somebody, you're like, yeah, I'm making $245,000 a year on my t-shirt business. They're like, damn, this guy's killing it. You're all, I think I'm missing a pretty key piece of information to evaluate how much you're killing it. Like, how much are you spending? They're all, 245. You're all, so you're making $5,000 a year, right? So the gross is $250,000 a year. The net is $5,000, right? Gross and net. So when it comes to the tax deductibility of the settlement, it means they're going to get to pay it out of the gross revenue, and it won't count against their net revenue, if that makes sense. I mean, it's an extra cost, but also they have negotiated that they're going to pay it out over multiple years. So, I mean, I don't know what the total number of years that they're, I don't know if they've released that yet. But like, let's say that they pay it out over 5 years, then I don't know, 300, like they'll get to pay 335 divided by 5. So that, $67 million in additional costs for 5 years is all that TKO is going to be responsible for. And that is a huge bullet to have dodged when you could have had to pay $1.6 billion. And if you go to court and the court decides they want it to be more, like if, you get a judge that's like, what you guys did is egregious, they can make it bigger than that. They can make it 3 times bigger than that. So the UFC, had this big financial cloud over their head, and now it's over. Okay. So like, they don't have to change their contracts. They don't have to pay, $1 billion plus. They're paying 335 over, multiple years. The fighters are going to get a big ass check, each of them. That's great. And everybody is happy, I would assume, because all of the fighters have to agree to it. I don't know about all of them, but they all vote, so the majority of them voted to accept the settlement. And the other thing is they, with a court case, they could drag this thing out, dude. So now they're going to, they know when they've got money coming, and that's good for everybody. It's really good for the UFC. It's really good for everyone. It's really good for Conor McGregor, which brings us to part 2 of the video. Because yesterday, Conor McGregor announced that he's fighting this summer, International Fight Week. And I said, get out of here. I don't believe you. I don't believe anything that you say. I don't believe anything that Conor says anymore about when he's fighting. I will only believe it when the UFC announces it. Even though Conor said, we got the call, we are fighting this summer. I'm like, yeah, right. No, you're not. I don't believe you. And now I know that they did get that call. How do I know that, Jesse on Fire? Well, simple. Because we found out that the same day they had come to terms to settle the lawsuit. I want you to, let me put you in the, wait, what? I don't need, Jesus. Are you all right, dude? Let's just think about putting ourselves in the UFC's position as decision makers, executives in, the brass, okay? To do the Conor McGregor fight, they almost certainly need to come to terms for, maybe they're just going to go, all right, here, just we'll fight under your old contract. I think that is incredibly unlikely. I think they are going to try to come to terms on a new deal. But I think the reason they were not talking to Conor is because they had no idea what their financial situation was going to be. Like if they, once they settle this out and they have, now they have financial certainty, that as I, went through, let's say they're paying it out over 5 years, could be more than that, $67 million a year, whatever. That doesn't hurt them that much at all. So they can do a blockbuster, one-of-a-kind deal with Conor that is going to be this huge, huge number. it's like, how could you make a big financial decision as an organization if you have this cloud over your head where you might have, like, dude, if the judge is you have to pay $3 billion all right now. You know what I mean? Like, do you have any idea how different that would be for them versus, all right, $65 million a year? You know what I mean? Like, so the fact that they settled the case the same day that they reached out to Conor makes me like certain that call is real. Literally yesterday, I don't believe it. The case is settled. Immediately, I was like, oh, the Conor thing is real then. I would stake my reputation on that, just because that's too coincidental. By the way, okay, what's the point of being an insider if you don't get a 24-hour heads up that the case is settled? Anybody who knew, you know who I'm talking to, guy. How come you didn't tell me? You don't have any idea how much money I could have made? Jesse, did you just say you would have done insider trading? I did, but I didn't, Just pointing out that I could have doesn't mean that I don't think that's a crime, saying that I would have if I had it, but I didn't have the information. I also might be just completely making it up that I know anybody who would have told me. Actually, yeah, I am. Oh, I actually am. I don't know anybody who would have known. I don't know anybody who would have told me that shit. But if I did, I would be mad at them for not telling me, because I would have made a very, very small, minuscule bet with short-term call options, and I would have tripled my money, But anyway, it is what it is. If you know short-term call options, then you know why Nancy Pelosi is worth $500 million. We greenlit a $24 billion injection into this infrastructure, which means for 1,000% sure this company over here is going to shoot up the second that news comes out. So Nancy's like, honey, short-term call options on Amazon. They just got one of those big defense contracts. Decrepit old cheater. Let's just say that. Cheater, inside trader. How on earth is that legal? If you need any more evidence that Congress is completely corrupt than the fact that they are allowed to trade on insider information, like, how is that different than an executive trading on insider information? Okay? They find out the government is greenlighting billions of dollars that's going to go to a certain company, and that 2 days from now, the news is going to get out and they're allowed to buy call options on that. That's legal. Well, why wouldn't it be legal? That is literally the definition of insider trading. You send people to jail for that. Well, I mean, that's why we pay ourselves so little. Oh, yeah, you don't like the congressional salary? Well, I mean, how are we supposed to get rich? By being corrupt. Right. We just legalize corruption. Got it. All right. At least we're on the same page. Now, hey, Jesse, would you do it if you were in Congress? Absolutely. 100% I would do it. And so would you. So would you. If it was legal, why would you not do it? You know what I mean? Like, why would you not do it if it's legal? Oh, this stock is going to shoot through the roof tomorrow. Like, literally anybody where you're like, hey, what would you do if you got a time machine? They're all, I'd go put all my money into Amazon in 1998. It's like that's like what everyone says. That is exactly what these people do in Congress, except they don't have to wait the 20-something years. They're just like, oh, that's going to shoot up tomorrow. Like, if you understand call options, as an example, TKO, I think their April 14th call options went up 300% today. There are some that went up 300 and more than that, actually. There are some that went up more than 300% today because of the lawsuit news. So you invest $100,000, your $300,000 becomes $400,000. Just like that, So, yeah. But I did buy Metastock when it was at $103. I went and looked. That's the actual price I bought it at. I bought one of the biggest trades I've made in a long time. I bet on, just because, when the what do you call it? The metaverse, they shut down, and like the stock went to it got destroyed. I'm like, the metaverse was producing no money. Hey, does Meta still own Instagram? Does Meta still own Facebook? Are they still developing the best VR? Why would it have gotten crushed like this? And now it's at dude, it's literally the best trade I've ever made. Because I bought it at 103 and I haven't sold. Well, I sold my original investment back. And so I have nothing but profit. It's at 502, dude. Oh, That is just glorious, dude. Glorious. Anyway, so I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Oh, right. We're going to look at Conor, one interview versus the other. Okay, let's do that. So let's go over here. This is Conor. This is Conor sober. Okay, here's sober Conor, and then let's compare it to Conor on Yale.
With the fight scenes, because that's your world, so I'm sure that you could add little bits that way.
Sure. I joked I should have had my name on the end credits as well. You know, for sure I gave my input on the fight scenes. They brought me to a warehouse for, you know, it was, the set was around the corner, let's say, the real set. And, you know, when I arrived, they brought me to a warehouse. And in the warehouse was the roadhouse in cardboard boxes, the shape of where I was going. They handed me the golf club. They told me the objective.
You guys get it. He's like, you know,
and then I
what do you call it? He's like humble and nice and kind and just Conor's such a likable dude, man. Like he is such a likable dude. And then now look, he's not like unlikable in this interview, but in this one, this is where people think they're like, whoa, he looks yacked out of his mind. Look at the difference.
And then I'm going to get back and regroup. I'm going to test myself physical-wise on the treadmill and do the RAM test and go about the McGregor fast away and get myself right back. I had a camp in Cannes, the south of France. I had a camp in Dubai at World Champions training with me where I was hoping for a December date, then a January date, and then it keeps getting pushed back. Then I lose interest and stop training for a while. Not stop training, I always train, but stop full training and drinking a little bit. Hold on. So I'm going to go back now.
Anyway, so in my opinion, energized in this one and not in the other one. Now, do I care? Of course not. Like I've said, Conor could do whatever he wants. If he wants to do every interview on acid for the rest of his life, if he wants to go into the octagon and fight after smoking crack, I don't care, dude. Like, Conor has earned the right to do whatever he wants. But if you're an MMA YouTuber and you're not going to look and go, geez, man, this guy looks like he's been doing some coke, then you're not doing your job, dude. That is what you're supposed to do. So anyway, I love this guy, and he says he wants to fight Dustin Poirier, and I will say right now, I will struggle in that fight. I've never rooted against Conor, but I don't think I can root against Dustin Poirier anymore. I don't think I'm capable of rooting against Dustin Poirier. I don't think I can do it. I really don't. I will be torn in half. Like, I can't root against Conor, even if I think he has been acting badly. But if he fights Dustin Poirier, I definitely can't root against Dustin Poirier, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And if he fights Chandler, it's the same thing. I can't root against Conor, but like, I know Chandler. Chandler's good people. I love this dude. So I find myself torn in half. The only thing that I can do is go to the fight and just kind of enjoy the show, you know? Anyway, don't miss the Fabia video. I love you guys. More to come today. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Bye.